If you can be entertained by Metroid 2, you can be entertained by a rock.
Just go push a rock around.
Yeah.
For this episode of Is it holding up? Title still pending.
Can you hold it? I can hold it in my hand. Get out your 4 AA batteries.
We're going to be talking about classic Game Boy hits. There's no genre theme here. They're just going to be, the biggest games from the Game Boy, quote unquote, because I don't think these are literally the 5 biggest games. But we're going to be talking about Super Mario Land 2,
Kirby's Dream Land,
Pokemon Blue or Red,
and Ducktales,
and Metroid 2, The Return of Samus.
I think we did try to keep it, other than Pokemon, it is mostly platformers.
It is, but
because we did a debate about Zelda and some other games, and those would be other videos.
Yeah, I think Zelda gets its own video, and also I feel like a lot of the Game Boy stuff is puzzle games, and there's only so much you can say about every puzzle game. It's like, Tetris holds up. You put the blocks together. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be any surprise that none of these games hold up. No one will be upset at all.
Yeah, because we hate old games.
I don't know a single person that still plays Pokemon Blue, even though that game was like 30 years old.
For real. Let's get right into it. I'd say we just start with Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. This is definitely the first older Mario game I played that really stuck with me. Like even Super Mario Brothers 3, I feel like I had some hiccups with. It's never felt as smooth as this game. I like that Mario is so floaty.
There were 2 things happening with Super Mario Land. It was trying to be Super Mario World on the Game Boy with like the map and everything. This was really them trying to like cash in on the success of Super Mario World. But the other thing was they were really trying to make the console Mario physics work on the Game Boy, and they still could not figure that out. In this one, I think he did move better than in Super Mario Land, the original one.
Oh, for sure.
But you like the floaty mechanics.
I like the floaty.
It's okay.
And it's also like, I feel like half the mechanics in this are like sticky stuff based, and it's like you're just kind of, there's like a slime and jelly. It feels like Mario doing a Kirby level.
We're like looking down here, but we gotta like hold them up.
Yeah,
we have the game right here.
We should probably be looking at the camera. Sorry about that. We're nervous. Yeah, I don't know. I think it definitely is them getting Mario right on a handheld for the first time, or at least better than they had in the past. The levels are shorter than most Mario levels. There's like a save thing. The big thing with this game is you can do the worlds in any order, which I think is super fun. And then also just the vibes of this game are like, there's no other Mario game I feel like that was designed in the same way. Like there's like a toy world and like a weird you're inside Mario world, and like no other Mario game has dared go inside Mario.
Yeah, it's super weird. There's a lot of DNA here for like with the Wario series.
Oh.
And I wish I could remember off the top of my head the different, development groups in Nintendo and who was working on what. But obviously this was that group putting a lot of ideas into something that go on and manifest in other games in better ways, I think. I think this is a fun game, and I would it's easier to revisit than the original Super Mario Land. It doesn't hold up as well as the later stuff that it inspired, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say though that this game is forgiving enough that it doesn't hinder me and the average weak Gen Z gamer or whatever in the same way some other games might. If I'm frustrated with a level in one world, I can just go to a different world and play that level and go back to it. In a lot of ways, this is a pretty small game in terms of like its scope and what it's doing and everything. As a Game Boy platformer and what I would want from that, just being able to like beat a level pretty quickly and then move on to wherever I want and take it at my own pace. The game saves, obviously, which is still not a guarantee. I wouldn't argue that it holds up perfectly because it is an old Game Boy platformer, but as a platformer on the Game Boy, it's what I want.
It's Game Boy comfort food, I think.
Yeah, 100%. But with all that being said, I think we can get into the rating for this first one. 4, 5, and 6 means the game holds up. Anything lower than that, the game doesn't hold up. And if it's a 4, it's on shaky territory. I think I'm going to give this game a 2. It definitely doesn't hold up in terms of like its scope and the excitement generated from playing, but in terms of like just pure quality of life and accessibility and like how this game controls, I think it does hold up pretty nicely. But you have to want to play like a Game Boy platformer.
Is this the killer app for the Game Boy, the OG Game Boy? No, it's not. Is it better than Super Mario Land? Yes. Would I probably give the original Super Mario Land a 1? Yes. So I would also give this a 2, I think.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's a fair score. The official Does It Hold Up score is a 4 out of 6. Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, does hold up, but it's on shaky territory. Let's get into Mario's coworker and personal friend, Kirby, and Kirby's Dreamland.
Who my daughter thinks is a Pokemon. I think this is probably the easiest game ever made.
It's up there. It's definitely, in the
But when you talk about Game Boy comfort food, I always think of this game. I had this game, I think this might have been one of the first games I beat growing up, and the game mechanics evolved further with every iteration, and there's better versions. I mean, I think the second Kirby on Game Boy is a better game.
Yeah.
But I think this game totally holds up.
Also, I've never been sure if this or Kirby's Adventure is the first Kirby game. I don't know what the
Oh yeah, I think
chronological
Kirby's
order.
Adventure.
Kirby's Adventure seems older, but then this one doesn't have copy abilities, which makes me think.
And
it
there's the
must
whole
be
thing
older.
with like he's white in this and not pink.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that whole thing. I mean, we can look. This is knowable.
No,
information.
we can't know.
Okay.
Just so
Kirby's
you guys
Adventure
know.
came out first.
Before you guys comment, neither of us two retro gaming extraordinaires know what the first Kirby game is, but it's one of those two games.
Nintendo really pushed this as a Game Boy game. There was original success with Tetris as the pack-in, the ultimate like pack-in game of all time, right? And then Super Mario Land was a heavy push, and then you had all these other things like golf and tennis and like all these other like things that they were like really pushing for portable,
Which we'll go over on episode 2, where we play golf and tennis.
but Kirby, there was like, I definitely vividly remember like a huge marketing push for this game as like a game that came out later to really push the Game Boy sales. Even if Adventure did come out first, it felt like this was the only Kirby game for a long time, or the first Kirby game.
I mean, I went back and played this game like in preparation for this video a little bit. I played Kirby's Adventure like fully more recently. I expected upon returning to this game for it to run a lot worse than it does. Like there's a little bit of slowdown here, but a lot of the game is they're just throwing random enemies at you that don't really do much, but they're all there on the screen. I was shocked at how smoothly this game runs.
Yeah, I think for me, I find the bosses more memorable than the enemies. I feel like the level design is so basic.
It's kind of a boss rush just as a game.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like just, float all the way to the right, fight a boss.
Yeah, do it again.
And then do it again.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously Kirby doesn't have the copy abilities in this game. There is some stuff missing, but in terms of how it feels to control, it's definitely like even leagues above something like Super Mario Land 2 in just terms of how, obviously I like easy stuff, and the fact that Kirby literally just flies around. Huge bonus points. Nothing is really that hard in this game. Like you said, it is probably the easiest game ever, maybe. It is another game that is also very small in scope, but I feel like it respects your time a little bit more, maybe, than Super Mario Land 2.
Yeah, and I really think the graphics and the soundtrack go a long way.
Oh, yeah, it's so nice. I'm ready to get into rating this game.
All right, let's do it. 3.
Okay, you're giving it a 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this game I think 3. Yeah. I guess when I'm picturing this, I'm picturing like how, not embarrassed, but like nervous, I guess I would be just giving this to like one of my friends that doesn't care about retro game. Like the chances they're going to be like, oh, this is stupid, and put it down instantly. With Kirby, I feel like it's pretty low. They're more likely to do that with Super Mario Land 2.
Like, someone who has no idea who Kirby is and has never played a Kirby
They
game.
know who Kirby is probably, but they're playing their Xbox or whatever.
I see. It's an extremely approachable, accessible game.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't feel really old. So the official Kirby's Dreamland score of Materia Does It Holds Up, the series, the game show, is 6 out of 6 stars. This game absolutely holds up, and you actually have to play it.
You have to.
Let's talk about Ducktales first.
Wow, all right.
I feel like we gotta make it.
I thought we were going to leave the best for last, but...
Okay.
Again, I mean, I think kind of like Kirby, it had a counterpart on the NES. I mean, in this case, the Game Boy version is pretty much a straight port of the NES version. It also has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Not on the Game Boy.
Yeah, on the Game Boy. Go listen to Moon.
I was literally playing the game.
There is like a decade of internet evidence that Moon is the greatest piece of video game music ever made. It's up there with the thing from Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth, Fallen Angel, whatever.
In taking notes for this video, I wrote that DuckTales has a bad soundtrack twice. That's how bad it is. The level select music is crazy. It's like do 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 do. It's just that over and over.
Did you even hear the Moon level song? Greatest piece of video game music ever.
But I definitely heard Labyrinth, and that one was bad.
Oh wow, that's like
fine.
So good.
It's fine.
So good.
Oh yeah, that's not harsh.
But the composer. Hold on, I want to look up the composer because she's someone people should know. Not a woman.
Nope, it's a guy.
That's a guy. This game also has a lot of the same accessibility components that Kirby did. I think this is Capcom really doing what Capcom did best. I think this is better than most of the Mega Man games that made it to the Game Boy, other than maybe like Mega Man 5. This is one of the first games I remember beating as a kid. It was super accessible. You could stick with it and find like hidden secrets and things. You can kind of do the levels in different orders also, which kind of made it somewhat easier sometimes. I don't remember why.
Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of Mega Man thing of you can do the levels in whatever order, and that's fun. It controls well. I don't know. The soundtrack is definitely bad, and I stand by that. And also, there's some weird hitbox stuff in this game for sure. And also, this game is what I assume Shovel Knight is. I have Shovel Knight, and I will play it.
You would probably like Shovel Knight better.
I probably would. Or even, I have like the modern DuckTales remake, like on the Wii U.
Oh, that thing's a piece of crap.
People like it.
I don't know why. That game is garbage.
I'm going to give it a chance.
That game is
I'm not gonna
garbage. I've never been so upset by a remaster remake than any other game.
Well, I'll
ever.
try it soon. I'll get back to you.
That game sucks.
We can do a duo review on. Also, there's some archaic gameplay choices I would say here. Like when you get to the end of the not the end, but near the end of the first level, and it's like get $300,000 to pass. If you're playing that level normally, you have like 50,000 monies. You literally just have to like go and reload. I was literally, every time I've tried to play through this game, like 3 or 4 times, I've had to spend 10 minutes there just walking back and forth, getting enough money to go through. This game is fun and it controls well and I like it and I would like to beat it.
Well, I think that was
flawless.
a shortcut. I don't think you had to go that route.
There's another way.
There's like another route. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt that.
Like I think that's like if you had the money, you could like pay Launchpad to like take you somewhere like further the level or something.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
I don't think you have to do that
because you can solve all your problems with money. When you're a rich guy like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. You know what? And that's deep actually, and that's kind of like adding a commentary into the game. I didn't realize that this game was
trying to teach you a lesson as they're trying to teach children lessons. Like
just get enough money and you
can either solve a problem with money or do it, do the hard way and learn some life lessons as you go. Yeah.
I'm ready to get into the review ranking. Right. I don't have much more to say. I'm gonna be candid. I came in today ready to give this game a 1. I'll give it a 2.
Wow, all right.
But I'm
Same
not
as
giving
Mario
it a
Land 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good as Kirby.
I think it's a 2 also. I came, prepared to give this game a 4.
And you didn't do that. Well, you probably didn't know what our scale was.
I didn't know what our scale was.
You were like, I'll just give it a 4. So the official DuckTales Materia Does It Hold Up score is a 4 out of 6. This game does hold up, but it's on shaky territory.
Let's do Metroid 2.
Okay. So being candid for the second time in the video and the third time in my life.
I've never played a Metroid game.
No, that's not even what I'm going to say, because I played this game. I put this on the list because I was like, oh, there has to be one that we don't like. And then everything I've heard about Metroid 2 is people being like, oh, it was impressive at the time, but it kind of sucks now. I'm surprised how much I liked it, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
What did you like about it exactly?
I mean, I think the movement feels good. I mean, and also the only other like Metroid game I've ever really spent time with is Metroid on the NES. So compared to that game it is at least like 5 to 6 times better than that.
You played this game and you compared it to Metroid on the NES, but what you haven't played to compare it to is one of the greatest games of all time in Super Metroid.
Yeah, I know.
I did not have fond memories of this game as a kid. I felt like the screen was too cramped. I couldn't really ever get a sense of where I was in the game. I kept seeing that people liked that and they thought it was a feature in the design because it wanted to make you feel like that whole like cramped alien isolation thing.
They're just
yeah, I don't know. I didn't buy it. I didn't. Yeah. That's what I think too, because I really feel like the sprite size of Samus is not right in this game, and it totally kind of throws off everything, in my opinion.
The movement and the moment-to-moment gameplay felt good, but this game should have had a map. Like I don't feel like it's not that crazy technology to maybe press start and just see where you've been and haven't been.
Well, it did have a map. It was in your Nintendo Power.
Yeah. It was. In any game, you need like a physical thing to help you that isn't like a Sega fishing rod. It can't hold up.
They just didn't have the technology to bring the
you could put a
HUD
Pokemon
version of the map on it.
It's not that hard. You press start and then you think I could do it.
The levels are so big though.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. I don't know. Make them smaller. Too big.
I'm a huge Metroid fan, but I just don't like this game. And I don't even like the Samus Returns, like that they released later. So.
Well, currently it's my favorite Metroid game of all time by a long shot, because I really don't like Metroid on the NES. They didn't figure out the vibe of Metroid in like the first 2 games for sure. Like I feel like from what I've heard of the later Metroids, it's a lot of like spacey, creepy, like the kind of sci-fi music you'd expect for that kind of stuff. But in these Metroid games, it sounds like Mario music.
If you loved this game growing up or still love it now, then that's great. Kudos to you, because you could transport yourself to where you needed to go to love this game.
You could probably be entertained by a rock. So good for you. That's what he's saying.
Wow, yeah. That's our quote. I want people their takeaway from this video is if you can be entertained by Metroid 2, you can be entertained by a rock.
Just go push a rock.
Yeah.
I did like this game a lot more than I expected. But I expected to come on today and be like, was this game ever even good? I think it sucks. And it doesn't, but I'm going to give it a 1.
Wow, all right. I mean, I think I'd have to give it a 2.
If I want to ever beat this game, I probably have to do it side by side with like a YouTube tutorial. And like at that point, it's like, my friend who only plays COD's gonna be like, this is so stupid. I have no idea where I am.
Yeah, it's I think of all the games we've talked about so far, this is the one I would go back to the least.
Fun fact, Samus is a woman, but you didn't know that.
Samus composed the soundtrack to Ducktales. So good.
Which I insulted, and now she's gonna hunt me down.
Yeah.
Now let's get on to the star of the show, the game everyone's been waiting for, the game everyone played and knows and loves.
Except for me.
Pokemon Blue. Yeah, I have a weird relationship with this game. They are basically the first game Pokemon games I really spent time with because they were the easiest ones to find for free in my browser on my mom's computer. That's how back in my day, how we had to play Pokemon. We didn't have Pokemon Go. It was hard.
You just had to go into your browser.
Yeah, and download viruses. It's also very hard for me to be subjective about this game because I feel like I lived most of my childhood in it.
There were hardly any good RPGs on Game Boy. I think this attracted a lot of people that were RPG fans that didn't have any really good RPGs to play.
Any other choice.
They had no other choice. But then there was also like the younger generation of people that were gravitating towards it because it was Pokemon. Did not play this as a kid. I've gone back and played it. And I think it holds up again because the formula holds up. And if it didn't, they wouldn't have just used the same formula for
they would have
every
changed
other
it
game
eventually.
since then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean the formula definitely works. I think also the accessibility of it, like you can just save anywhere. Which, I mean, that's not super weird for RPGs, but it is nice. It's noted. You don't have to go to, like, a priest, like in Dragon Quest or something. Not that Dragon Quest is worse, but we can get into that later. But, no,
Wow.
I'm kidding. Yeah, Pokemon is kind of timeless, and it's how it works.
the save feature is interesting. I've swapped so many batteries of this game, and then, like, later, I think in Yellow, they did upgrade this, but this game, you have to leave the house before you can save. Whereas every later version of Pokemon from Yellow on, you can save
Just
it right
save,
from the
yeah.
room, which if you're a person that swaps batteries for people, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah, you don't have to go through.
Yeah. So I played the first like 30 seconds of this game like 500 times.
Yeah, and that makes this game harder to sell, which means it doesn't hold up. The first time I actually ever beat this game was in college, just because as a kid I didn't really beat games ever.
What did you put as your name?
I think, okay, for the first probably like 21 years of my life, I was always just Alex in every game.
Okay.
Since then, I've been doing like, I don't know, I'll be named like Pebble or Stump or something just
right.
random.
And who was your archenemy that you've been enemies with since childhood?
Honestly, I could get my 3DS and check, and I can get back to you on that.
You don't remember the one from your mom's browser?
Oh, I mean, it was definitely just poop. It was definitely just like poop.
Okay. It wasn't a real person. It was just
no.
It was just a word you assigned to bad people.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, cool. Poop.
I know I didn't have any. Well, I had some enemies as a kid, but I didn't put them in Pokemon.
And what'd you name your Pokemon? Your starter Pokemon?
I don't think I was naming them yet.
Oh, okay.
There was when I very first found Pokemon, I would also probably just name them Poop. And then for a long chunk of my life, I was like, I'll just, their names are perfect as is.
So if you ever find a cartridge of Pokemon,
everything's
the save file is Poop, the main character is Poop, the enemy's Poop, and all the Pokemon are Poop.
It could be any 5-year-old, honestly. That does not have to be my save file. There are tons of people with a similar situation.
All right.
I name my Pokemon now and everything. In the grand context of Pokemon, I would say not only do they hold up, but they even stand out because of the gameplay flow. There's that big chunk in the middle where you can kind of choose which gyms you go at, and I just think it's super cool. You really get to like explore Kanto. There's something so quaint about the Pokemon designs in Gen 1. They're just like, oh, let's give a horn to a fish. Let's just make a bird. That's kind of where they were at. Not all this fancy lore stuff that they have now. And yeah, I don't know. I think the first generation of Pokemon is super charming. It is hard for me to be objective, but also I don't think I'm wrong in saying you can just kind of hand Pokemon to anyone and they'll like it, as long as they're not a soulless hater who is no fun.
Wow.
Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that statement?
I don't know. I've never played more than 2 hours of a Pokemon game.
Someone's gonna comment about that.
Rat-a-tat.
They're ranking these games and they've only played 2 hours of Pokemon Blue. How can I trust?
I mean, that's
how can
all
they trust
you need to play of Pokemon Blue. Gen 1 Blue, like
I've played that game for probably like 100 hours.
But you only need like an hour to understand. You only need like 30 minutes to understand.
Well, no, because it's about like falling in love with your Pokemon and like you have the ultimate team. Like when you beat the Elite Four, honestly, maybe not in this game, but at least in later games, it does like a squad photo of you and all your Pokemon. That's what it's all about.
Okay, all right.
And there used to be on Instagram, there are these pictures. You would tag people in like 4th grade. It'd be like, who would be in your Pokemon squad? And it'd be like a picture of like Ash and Brock, and you'd like tag your best friend as Brock. And your rival is Gary.
In social media?
Yeah, on Instagram.
On Instagram,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Instagram came out when I was in grad school, so...
You were working on it.
I was making really artsy photos. Really cool artsy.
I can see the sepia filter now.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, let's get no more Instagram. Let's talk about Pokemon. Do you have anything else to say about this? Do you have more slander to spew? More hate and lies.
It's a phenomenon for a reason, and the fact that like all the ingredients you need for a Pokemon game go all the way back to the very first iterations of it. Like, I think that says it all. I think Pokemon has a killer soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. The gameplay. I do like games where you build a party. Like, I like it better when all those party members are taking turns in the same like round. Like, that was one thing that I never gravitated towards, but I do think there's a lot of strategy still here.
What would you rate it?
A 2. Because I've given everything else a 2.
You have given everything a 2. You gave everything a 3 in the first video also.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this game a 3.
Those games were all better games.
Pokemon gets a 5 out of 6. It does hold up. I gave every score except a 0 in this video. Just remember that.
All right.
You only gave 2s. Let us know. What do you guys think about these games? What should we rank next? Make sure to like and subscribe. Join our Patreon if you want to see the thing we are about to do after I fix my camera. Let us know what your favorite Game Boy game is and what your middle name is. Thank you for watching.
Radar Mission.
I don't know what
That's my middle name.